Okay, I'm Cauldierre. I'm a senior at Classical, executive board member of the Providence Student Union. The Providence Student Union is a youth-led organizing group that fights to build student power and educational decisions that affect our own education. So what we've been doing for like the last year and a half is the More Than a Test Score campaign, where we have been mainly going against the NECAP graduation requirement, but also high-stakes testing in general. So there's a lot of reasons why the NECAP should not be used as a graduation requirement, but I'll just go over a few. So first is that it is detrimental to our education. It's not helping us reach these standards, these high standards that we should have for ourselves, and that the RIDE is telling us that we should have, because their standards is scoring a 2 on a test, on an arbitrary test, is good enough to be ready for graduation. And we do not believe that it is. We need something that's more rigorous and something that shows what we actually know. Something like performance-based assessments, where we can show what the student knows in certain subjects, and more than just only caring about math and reading. More than just what we know about math and reading. Also, it is very discriminatory, as in students of color, IAP students, ELL students, and students in low-income neighborhoods score substantially lower than other students. And there's a logical reason for that, because they do not have the resources that the majority of American public school students get. It's also narrowing our curriculum and leading to more teaching to the test, as in teachers are stopped caring about the engaging curriculum, because their jobs have also been put on the line to try to get students to answer. In Rhode Island, it's just like 5 to 8 more questions, right? So if you can bubble in about 5 more answers correctly, then you're proficient enough to graduate, which we think is complete BS. Lately, about 2 months ago, or a month ago, RIDE released this waiver policy that they said has been in place the entire time, which it hasn't. But they released a waiver policy where now students can either demonstrate to their school board to show that they are proficient enough to graduate, or if they are accepted into a 2 to 4 year non-open enrollment college. What this means is if you get accepted into a college such as URI or RIC, then you can graduate still and you won't have to pass the test. But this stops students who are planning to go to CCRI from graduating, even if they did not pass the NECAP. And CCRI students are a lot of CCRI students are low-income students who can't afford to go to a university or a different college, so they go to CCRI because it is cheaper and they can afford that. But this is stopping a lot of students who need the education and to need to learn from actually being able to graduate and moving on with their lives. And this is obviously enhancing the school-to-prison pipeline. Because if a student cannot graduate, what student wants to repeat senior year until they pass a test? Not many. A lot of students might just drop out, and after they drop out, what are they going to get a minimum wage job? It's crazy. We've created a lot of actions to go against the NECAP graduation requirement. We've had to take the test of it. Where we had 50 successful adults take a portion of the math NECAP test. And of those 50, the 50 adults were lawyers, Brown professors, elected officials, such as state representatives. We also offered it to the commissioner and the Board of Education. They said no. And of those 50, 30 or 60% of them scored a 1, meaning that they would not have been proficient enough to graduate from high school, which is kind of crazy considering they're leading extremely successful lives, which really raises the question, what is this test actually measuring? We've also had meetings with the governor, commissioner of education, a lot of different state reps, and held a lot of rallies to try to bring awareness of this issue, because, well, this test is not improving our education, it is actually hindering it, and we're trying to learn, and we're trying to meet these high standards, but we're not being provided the resources that we need to get there. So, over the course of a year and a half, a really tiring year and a half of organizing, we've managed to get a waiver policy, which is still in the works. We're still going to trying to get rid of it completely, but this is like a kind of a partial win. We've also, the superintendent recently came out publicly about opposing the kneecap graduation requirement, and also last week the fourth of the 5 gubernatorial candidates are opposed to the kneecap graduation requirement, which means that right now we're still moving steadily forward with this to getting rid of this testing policy, and we probably won't stop because, well, we have nothing better to do with our lives. Humans.